I'm Alexis, and in this video I talk about what it's like to be me, a female INTJ married to a male ISFP. We have all the same cognitive functions, so has that caused problems for us? Has that been great? Is compatibility a thing? Would I do it again? Let's get into it. So I first want to get into our story because I think a lot of people might be curious how an ISFP and INTJ got together in the first place. How do you get an INTJ? How do you get an ISFP? So basically we met at church. We were both on the same worship band. I was really hardcore for some reason getting into TE at that point in my life, and so I was leading lots of different things. I was probably too much into TE at that point. At the same time, he was very, very quiet. I would say he was in a loop, very introverted feeling, introvert intuition loop, so quiet. He was just getting into piano. In a lot of ways, I just felt like he was too quiet, incompetent. He felt like I was way over the edge, way too bossy, basically. So we basically hated each other the first couple years that we knew each other. We really limited our time together, didn't hang out together. He was a year younger than me, and so with me having TE and him being younger, I felt like he wasn't good enough at what he did, and he was also younger, so there's like no status in him. So we basically just didn't ever hang out, didn't really talk. There were a few times that we were in group games together, and we did not get along. We actually got in some arguments. So that was that. Great start. As the years went on, a couple years later, I had really been honing in my TE, and I was really starting to not bulldoze people and trying to use it in a way that really empowered people and really got fun events together as opposed to just getting my agenda pushed. At the same time, he got really, really good. He got really great at piano. He started playing by ear, became fantastic at it. He was really working on extroverted sensing. And so he became a lot more funny and just a lot more likable to be around. He had been kind of stuck in a shell like this. It felt like he had been in a loop for several years, and he eventually got out of it. So as we were both developing our extroverted functions a little bit better, that's when we started to come together. So he reached out to me one day on a Facebook message and said, hey, a few of us are hanging out. Do you want to hang out with us? And I didn't respond. I had no interest in him. I didn't respond at all. I thought he was nice, but not interested. Waited like another week. He reached out again and said, hey, we're hanging out at the beach again. Do you want to hang out? Again, I didn't respond. I don't know what kept him pushing, but I wasn't responding. So then he eventually went so far as to get from my best friend, he got my phone number, which I don't know why she gave it to him, but thanks, Larsa. So he got my number from my best friend, and then he texted me and was like, hey, we're hanging out again, do you want to hang out? At this point, I was just kind of upset that my friend had given him his number. So I reached out and I was like, hey, where'd you get my number? And that was basically the only reason I reached out. And then I talked to her and she was like, I think he really likes you. And I was like, eh. So then eventually I was like, fine, I'll go hang out with my friends. Fine, I'll go hang out. So I went to hang out to this group event, and lo and behold, it was just the two of us. So I felt a little awkward and a little tricked. So, but I was like, I don't want to be impolite and just leave, so I guess I'm gonna stay. So I ended up staying, and it was like this football game, and it turned out neither one of us liked football, so we just ended up going on a drive. And I found out that basically he was really, really intellectual. So I started seeing kind of this three-dimensional person. Not only is he like really funny and great with people and really well liked by everyone, he's very, very talented and skilled with piano. He began like playing by ear, and that was something that I think T started noticing, like, wow, that's kind of statusy. Wow, he's good at a skill. I like that. And then, like in the car ride, we started having these intellectual conversations. At the same time, I found that he was really emotional and in touch with his emotions in a way that I had never seen like men to be. So I really started seeing, I don't know, I was kind of like awakened or whatever to like the full person that he was. And so then I really started liking him. So I think that basically speaks to how you get an INTJ maybe. It's not all these like, it's not this manipulation, it's not pickup tactics, it's just be good at your skills, and then I would just like naturally be attracted to that. I'm naturally attracted to people who are improving themselves and getting better in life and who are getting better at their skills. And so then I'll just kind of like come to you, I guess, just naturally be a great person, work on yourself, and then, you know, we're interested. And I was in high school at the time, so I was really used to guys just being really like prideful and cocky and thinking they were all that, but really not being great at anything. So on the flip side, I saw Garrett, my husband, who is fantastic at everything he does and had really pursued humor and sports and especially piano and artistic expression, and was in touch with his emotional side and would have deep intellectual conversations. At the same time, he was so humble. So he's basically the opposite of anything I had ever seen, and he seemed really special, and I think that's something that also really stood out to me. There's something about ISFPs in general that I think just feels really safe and really trustworthy, and that's something that's really important to me. I was never going to be with someone who I felt like was playing games or manipulating. I need someone who I felt like was authentic and who liked me for me, and that's probably my number one quality about introverted feeling users in general, INFPs and ISFPs, is that they're very, very authentic and they feel very real and feel very true to themselves. That's something that I admired. I hadn't seen a lot of people be like that, and so like something that I wanted to be around. So it's been a really great relationship, and it's been really rewarding. I have really loved how loving he is and the conversations that we can have. We have such great intellectual conversations. So I want to just go through our cognitive functions now, because we have all the same cognitive functions in just a different order. And some people would say that you are most compatible with someone who has the exact opposite cognitive functions as you. So for example, if you have introverted feeling, you're most compatible with someone who has extroverted feeling, because they're tuned into your feelings, and that ends up being compatible. You're accessing your emotions, they're accessing your emotions, so you're kind of reaching the same goal together. And it's kind of the same with all of the cognitive functions. So Garrett and I have all the same cognitive functions, so we don't have one bit of that compatibility supposedly going. Also, they say that one of the biggest indicators of compatibility is the N-S difference, and he's an S, I'm an N, so we also don't have that going for us. So it has been kind of interesting. It's been somewhat of a challenge, I would say, especially in the beginning, to realize that it's like a need that I have to talk about intuitive things. And at some points in his life, he's more inclined to talk about those things, and he's less inclined in some other parts of his life. So I asked him what he thought about all the cognitive functions, and he said that he really likes my NI. He said that he thinks it makes me like pretty deep, and we have intellectual conversations, and he really enjoys that. He said that he also really enjoys my TE. It was at the same time the thing that kind of repelled him from me, because I was like too bossy, but then once I really honed it in and became a leader, that's like one of the things that he's most attracted to me. So one thing he says, does sometimes wish that I had FE, and that's one of the things that they say that ISFPs and ESFJs are the most compatible. Some people say that, and so that makes sense, because he's very in tune with his inner emotions, and I don't have FE anywhere close to dominant. I don't have it anywhere close. It's like my 7th function or something. So it can be difficult sometimes when we're having emotional conversations for us to both be aware of our own inner experiences and really have a hard time of engaging with the other person's experiences. So we've had to gain tools, like we use this book, it's called How We Love, and it basically talks about people's conflict styles and how they relate to other people and what they tend to do when a conflict is approaching. So do you avoid? Do you try to please people? Do you like blow up and try to control the situation? So there are all these different responses people can have to conflict. And one thing they talk about at the end of the book is how to have a productive conversation. And there's kind of a template that they use that's been really helpful for us, because since we're so in tuned to our own inner emotions, it's kind of hard for us to listen to the other person's emotions sometimes. So that template has been really helpful, and if you haven't read that book, it's a great marriage book. I highly recommend it. By far my favorite marriage book that I've ever read. And then I also asked him about SE, and he said that he really likes my SE. He feels like we have some of the same humor that we get, and then we do a lot of activities together, like go biking, or we go on walks, or we play tennis together. And then he said that he also really likes my aesthetic. So for me, going down through his cognitive functions, I really like introverted feeling. I love introverted feeling as a function in general. I don't as much have a problem with, I don't wish that he was an extroverted feeler by any means. I really enjoy introverted. I love INFPs, I love ISFPs. I think they're really authentic and really real. Yeah, and it gives him this artistic expression. So what I really like is the introverted feeling coupled with extroverted sensing, because it makes him a phenomenal pianist and a phenomenal artist, and he can express a range of emotions that are unable to be spoken, through the human mouth. So that's really beautiful, and that's something that I definitely wouldn't change. And I do really like his humor. I think extroverted sensing is really funny humor. It can be kind of irreverent, which I enjoy. So I think sometimes I wish was that instead of introverted intuition, he had extroverted intuition, which makes sense because that's, my dominant compatibility. Some people say ENFPs, some people say ENTPs, and I do really enjoy extroverted intuition, especially when Garrett gets in a loop. So when he gets in that introverted function loop, it can be kind of difficult because he can kind of shut down. And so then instead of having the deep conversations that we have, it just feels like he can get very silent. And so sometimes I don't enjoy that introverted function loop, which makes sense. No one really enjoys loops. But it has been a process, and I would say that one thing that we've done to kind of help the problem of us both being introverted is if we both read a lot, that really helps. So when going down to his last function, extroverted thinking, I sometimes wish that he had introverted thinking, just so that he was generating more of his own thoughts that we could talk about. The problem is that with extroverted thinking, we're both drawing upon all other people's thoughts, and then we kind of cull them together to form our beliefs. So if we're not doing a lot of reading, if we're not hanging out with a lot of people, we're basically staying stagnant and we're not getting a lot of new thoughts, and then Garrett and I don't have anything to talk about. And so since we hang out with all the same people, that has happened sometimes. I would say that's one thing that we've done, is we've really made sure that we are reading a lot, and that we are, talking to lots of diverse people and listening to lots of new information. Otherwise, we don't have a lot of newly generated thoughts. So basically, to wrap it up, I would say that it has been really great, and that I don't fully believe in compatibility. I think that you can make it work with anyone, and that the biggest indicator of a relationship working is, do you have common beliefs and do you have common hobbies? And I think that's the biggest indicator of making a relationship work. Like, how healthy are the two people? And if the two people are healthy, two healthy people can make anything work. And I can get along with any healthy personality type, and the healthier I get, the more I can get along with people. I think the more unhealthy you are, the more that you might tend to rely on compatibility and things like that. But I've really enjoyed being married to an ISFP. I'm just astounded and in awe of the profound art that he creates and what he expresses through short stories and poems and through piano and songwriting. It's really, really beautiful, and I feel like I enjoy it because I feel like it gets me more in touch with my emotions and almost a deeper meaning in the world, and it encourages me to get my own dreams accomplished. You know, when I see him being so creative and really living his full passion and expression, it encourages me to do the same. So I think as he's gotten healthier, I've gotten healthier, and you know, vice versa. And I think it's been really valuable for us to both work on our subconsciouses. So I've been at the same time working on trying to develop ESFP parts of myself, and he's been trying to work on developing ENTJ parts of himself. And it's made us more extroverted. I think it's made me more fun. I think it's made him more productive. And so that's been something that's been really helpful. So I would say, like, if you're both introverts or you're both extroverts, really try to focus on the two functions that are the opposite attitude of your dominant functions. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts. Let me know how it's been for you. You know, if you're an INTJ or an ISFP, let me know how you got together, or even if you're not with that type, just let me know how it's been or if you've noticed any patterns in those relationships.